Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Sure IDC podcast, the show about anything and everything. This is Lucas, and let's see what topic we can get into today. We talk about movies, songs, video games, board games, food, books, personality traits, animals, history, anything and everything you can think of. So sit back, relax, because we are here to have a good time. Now, Season 3 is a great season, in my opinion, because as of today, we have officially 2 Star Wars episodes in the season, so that's quite a game changer here. Today we are diving deep into the Star Wars movie Rogue One, and we are also going to move the conversation into the newer Andor TV series. You know me, I always keep saying we, and by we, I have a new special guest on today, and I am very excited to have him, and that is Josh. How are you doing today?
Hey, Mr. Lucas, I am doing absolutely fantastic, and thank you very much for allowing me on an episode of the Sure IDC podcast. Been a wonderful addition, my friend, to the Branson Podcast Network. Love what you're doing. I love the pop culture mind. There really is something for everybody, so I have to pay that compliment. It's good to be here with you, man.
Well, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to do it.
Definitely, my friend, definitely. Glad we could make it happen.
Yeah. So to start out, we usually do this with every guest when we talk about Star Wars and everything. But tell us a little bit about your Star Wars history.
Oh, my Star Wars history is incredibly vast. It would go all the way back to VHS tapes and then laser discs that were owned by my brother back at the time. A fondness for the originals that were untainted, untapped, unchanged by the creative mind of George Lucas. And then, I would go back into the 90s, and I remember very, very well the revised versions coming into the Nova Cinema 4 on Highway 76, back before the God and Country Theater, which is what we know it as today. Before it became a music theater, it was a movie theater, and those films came to the Nova. And that really, for me, was my first big screen Star Wars experience. Was the originals, but updated, the special editions, if you will, from Lucas. That's where it all began. And obviously, I have just loved that getting expanded over the years. Episodes 1, 2, and 3, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and of course, The Rise of Skywalker. And I've got the box sets at home. Absolutely love them. I had the 3 VHS set at one point or another, and then that went to DVD, and then it went on to Blu-ray, and now, of course, the 4K versions as well. So definitely very, very much a Star Wars fanatic. Clone Wars, the animated, and there is so much goodness, and I love the fact that it's grown by leaps and bounds, but I'm also one of those fans that worries about oversaturation, because Star Wars was special when it was a slow burn, and we had years to wait. We had a chance to really kind of revel in what we saw. And it's kind of a strange problem, because we as fans craved Star Wars at one point. Then we got our wish, and now it's kind of, I'm not one of those fans that is upset. Oh, it's too much. The quality is, weren't we just complaining we wanted it at one point or another? Yeah. I'm definitely not one of those fans. I always say, there is always room in my life for Star Wars. I'm not worried so much about the frequency. I worry about the quality. Don't rush it out too much. I'm ready for it anytime you want to give me, but just, take your time with it. Develop it, make it good.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so much that I want to say right now.
That's the fun part of a new guest you haven't sat down with yet, because the conversation can go anywhere with this, and Star Wars is one of those topics.
Well, it's interesting. I'll start with this: is that a lot of the guests, when it comes to your personal, relationship with Star Wars or experience with Star Wars, a lot of people, they're all like, "Oh, well, was my dad's favorite," or, I remember going to the original opening, I've talked to both spectrums of that. Who was there?
And don't you wish you can go back in a time capsule and be there on opening night at a theater locally for that? Yeah. I would give anything to do that.
Yeah. And just your personal experience is just even more different than anybody else, because you you saw the remastered, kind of like the special editions.
Special editions, yeah. The Lucas tinkered versions.
Now, is that including that one animated scene in A New Hope where Jabba wasn't in it and then he was in it. Is that what?
Yep.
Okay.
And then it was also the one where Solo steps on his tail or steps over his tail.
It's still super awkward to watch.
Yeah, and there was a situation where Han and Greedo, that whole scene was adjusted,
yes,
and manipulated. And then, of course, I think what I appreciated it is because it tied into Attack of the Clones and several others. I love what Lucas did with the world building in it. Mm-hmm. Not so much that it was going to be make or break for me as a fan. Oh my gosh, he messed with Han and Greedo. I'm no longer going to be a Star Wars fan. I've never been that type of a fan.
Yeah.
It's his movies. He can do whatever he wants with those movies. And I think I appreciated him from a visual standpoint because you know what? Cloud City was expanded. It was larger. There was stuff added into the background. It was what Lucas wanted to see when he made the film. He couldn't do it because of the limitations for technology.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to make it look more grand and more special, by all means. And what he did just made this city seem larger than life, right? Mm-hmm. He gave us what Coruscant was in his head, but he couldn't do it because the technology wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Lord knows where it was going to go and how it was taken even further. So I love that. I can appreciate that from an artistic side. His vision was expanded, and it didn't make or break the movie for me. It just added to it and made it more special. Yeah. That's what I saw for the first time. So for me, that's all I knew.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's half of watching Star Wars, maybe even more than half, is seeing the massiveness or the elegance or the creativity of the planets, of the cities, of the landscape. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, that's half the reason why almost every Star Wars movie starts in space. It's all like, you know, it's just like that's about Star Wars. It's not just about the characters and the story, but about the visuals of what you're seeing, the planets and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, and plus the storytelling becomes enriched that way when you can expand it and make it more grand. Because I think if I was a director, if I was in Lucas's shoes back in the 70s and the 80s when those films were being made, if I could not fully realize what I wanted to do, I don't think as a director I would be happy. So I can kind of understand not being able to put myself right into Lucas's shoes, but I can understand why he would have been frustrated, because I think I would have been the same way. If I couldn't fully realize it, then to me, the project wouldn't be finished. And that's exactly what his mindset was. That's why he went back. Yeah. Because to him, his films, his babies were not finished.
Yeah. Yeah. So to move on to the next part of what you said earlier, quantity versus quality, or quality versus quantity, you know, and that is correct. I mean, I grew up, I was born in the 90s, 94. And so, you know, the first, obviously growing up, I had watched the originals, you know, but, you know, I had the cool, my parents had the VHS with the cool Darth Vader sleeved case that came off and other stuff.
Yep.
But of course, my true, you know, growing up with it was the prequels and everything, and yeah, it was that. You know, I was able to have that waiting period between Revenge of the Sith and the Force Awakens. You know, I was able to be like, oh, I'm so excited for this. Oh, you know, new Star Wars, what? But yeah, I mean, lately, you know, I think, you know, what has mitigated that constant, like, oh, Star Wars is kind of being pushed out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think, and I've mentioned, you know, you can't mention Star Wars without mentioning his name, but I think the biggest mitigator of this is Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. I think that they aren't just pushing it out to push it out. I think they are wanting to do more, but they're able to keep it quality.
Well, yeah, no, you're right. You're right on that. And I can appreciate Favreau for doing what he has done, especially with The Mandalorian season 3. It's so close.
Yeah.
So close before we're there. What I love is that they are going in and they are adapting their vision. They can do it without any tampering or outside influence, if you will. Mm-hmm. But also, too, it takes a special kind of director or producer to jump into the world, knowing the fandom, knowing how ridiculously demanding Star Wars fans can be, and not worrying about that when they get behind the lens, and then they just go in and they create. Mm-hmm. They really are fearless, and I think that's one of the things that I respect most about Filoni and Favreau is that they get into this type of thing, And they are fearless. They're not going to be swayed by what is the perceived immense pressure of Star Wars fandom, because we know how rabid we can be. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I'll put the Star Wars fans on blast. The Star Wars fandom can be unreasonably rabid. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate because, I mean, I look at the stuff that goes, I mean, we can go off on a real big tangent here, so rein me in. Just look at what we've done to actors and actresses within Star Wars. Kelly Marie Tran is a very big example of the toxicity of the Star Wars fandom. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate that it is that toxic.
Yeah.
I'm a passionate Star Wars fan, but I'm not the rabid, toxic Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Like I have my very strong opinions about The Last Jedi. I have my very strong opinions about what they did with Luke Skywalker and the fact that I don't agree with it. Mm-hmm. But it never rises to the level of toxic.
Oh, of course. I mean,
and I think that toxic fandom influences projects.
Yeah.
Whether they get made, how they get made. And honestly, I think we have a direct impact on the quality.
Yeah.
And we don't answer for it as fans.
Yeah. I mean, of course, every topic, whether it be Star Wars, Star Trek, Indiana Jones, any major franchise series has been around for the last 20, 30, 40 years.
Totally.
It's going to have that toxic fan base that just is irritated about every single thing and likes to blow it up,
You can't win for anything, no matter how you try.
You can't. But, it was funny. I was having this conversation with my roommate the other night. I just was all like, hey, can I ask you something? He's like, what? And I was like, do you think that Star Wars is going to be ruined because people, the fan base and people who expect something to come out expect to be seen something new and expect something to big to happen every time they watch it? And he's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe to an extent, but I mean, isn't that to the point where we're at? Is every time we watch Star Wars, something massive has to happen. It has to connect to something, and
I think as fans, you go back and you look at all the films that we got in the Legacy trilogy set, all of that, the whole way through. There was a very specific formula for all of those movies.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So yes, the fan base is going to be rocked when you deviate from that, whether it's a series or it's a film.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to be met with the reception that you want.
Yeah.
But also, I think the directors, the producers have an obligation to stick with the changes that they decide to go with.
Yeah.
But we as fans have an obligation to open up our heads and accept it, or at least try to.
Yeah.
But if we're the fans that just shut the door on any type of change, we expect one thing from Lucasfilm, ILM, or whoever it is that's putting this stuff on, and we just can't open ourselves up to it, sadly, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
We have to accept it. I mean, as much as I hated what they did in The Last Jedi and some other elements there, I can get past it. Mm-hmm. But I'll also be those fans that, okay, I'll avoid The Last Jedi. I can sit down and watch it, but I will avoid it just because it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
But you better believe when a new series comes out, I'm going to be open to it. I want to watch it because it's that world.
Yeah.
But I'm not expecting a certain formula.
Yeah.
I think now I want to be surprised. Mm-hmm. I want to be surprised with storytelling. I want some new tales.
Yeah.
There's a whole galaxy, a whole republic out there that is waiting. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think about Knights of the Old Republic. I mean, I loved playing those MMORPGs. They're fantastic. Yeah. Have we seen it fleshed out on TV yet? No. So I say to creators out there or potential directors, don't run away from Star Wars because you're scared of the lofty expectations or the toxic level of fandom within Star Wars. Mm-hmm. I say you open your arms and you go for broke. Go out there and tell a story.
Yeah.
Because the fans, I think, will appreciate that. It's the effort, it's jumping in, and it's different.
Yeah.
But as fans, I just call out to you, just be open to the change.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, we might get less stories as a result of that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much I want to say to that, but I want to move on. I got two more questions before we move on. Favorite character?
Oh, favorite character without a doubt, Luke Skywalker. Always will be. And that's why I made those comments about being really passionate about Luke and then having the big disagreements from what I saw as a kid to what was portrayed in these the new legacy films. I mean, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. The Luke that I grew up with was not the Luke that I got in those later films. And I think that's where I got so upset because I'm like, no, I mean, maybe I can kind of put myself in that mantra and understand what time does to the mind and Luke Skywalker and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I did not get the Luke that I wanted to see in those films.
Well, I'm just going to say it because I was going to stop myself earlier, but now I'm just going to say it.
Hey, that's fandom, maybe.
The thing about the Disney movies, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, whatever the last one's called, Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker, yep.
I mean, that's the sad part about it is that the one thing that I want to say about it is it just doesn't feel. You would think if they're going to take one of the largest franchises in the entire world, don't you think that they would sit down with whoever is going to be a part of it and actually figure out what the story is going to be? Because I don't think they actually did that. In my opinion, I don't know if they actually sat down around and said, okay, what is the plan?
And I mean, the podcast episode would spontaneously combust with defenders of Rian Johnson. And Rian Johnson is a wonderful filmmaker. He has done some fantastic stuff. But the reason why The Last Jedi just absolutely did not work for me, now it has its ardent defenders, and I don't want to take anything away from that opinion. If you think it's a beautiful film, I'm going to respect that. I'm going to respectfully disagree because you start off with Abrams. Abrams gets called back to finish it out. And you have Rian Johnson in the middle. And by and large, Rian Johnson has come out and said, he's like, I had no intention of following anything that Abrams did.
Yeah.
And the problem goes that nobody sat down with Rian Johnson and addressed that.
Why not?
And attempted to rein him in. This is Lucasfilm. This is Kennedy. This is all of them. They knew this, and they didn't step in to stop Rian or try to add the connectivity. So everything we got in there was it was a standalone.
Yeah.
And a standalone in the middle of what was supposed to be a joined up trilogy.
The revitalization of Star Wars.
With a narrative arc.
Yeah.
And Rian Johnson was the firebomb in the middle of a trilogy, and that messed everything up.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't know why they didn't sit down with everyone who they thought was going to be involved.
Yeah.
And just, okay, this is the story. This is I don't care about Rian Johnson. I don't care about The Last Jedi. I mean, was it my favorite movie? No. But what really bothers me about it is that they didn't sit down and talk about it.
No.
They didn't talk about it.
No.
They're just like, we're going to make these Star Wars movies. They're going to be good. And that's it. And so okay.
And then you bring in it's like mop up, it's like cleanup, and that is exactly what Abrams was faced with The Rise of Skywalker. He had to rebound from. Can you imagine getting assigned that? I mean, how monumental that task was. It's scary enough as it is, but knowing full well how divided the fandom was, I don't think I would have said yes as a director. I'm like, no. I mean, you guys already set a path in the first movie. You didn't rein in your second director, and he basically made a standalone film. Yeah. And now you're wanting me to tie up two disjointed films and wrap it up? You can't do it. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Because the story I want to tell.
Just imagine what happened to J.J. Abrams' name in a sense. I mean, I love J.J. Abrams, Firefly, and everything, and
he's not a bad director.
Not a bad director at all.
Because you could bring in Star Trek into it.
Yeah.
And the fact that he brought in a hell of a cast, an amazing cast for his Star Trek movies, fantastic. And now we can't get a fourth one off the ground. And dude, all you got to do, check with Abrams and see if he wants to come back and do another one. His Star Trek films are amazing. I love those films. Yeah. But a lot of people hate him.
Yeah.
They hate the Star Trek films because they hate J.J. Abrams. I'm sorry, that's not a fair criticism if you ask me.
Yeah.
Separate the two out and look at the film on its own, not just because you hate J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
If you're going to review something or if you're going to have an opinion on something, you're going to have to separate your hatred out and really talk about the film for what it is. Talk about the film and talk about the cast and leave J.J. Abrams and your hatred for him out of the conversation.
Yeah.
I can sit here and I can talk about The Last Jedi all day, But I can also say I did not like The Last Jedi, but I like Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
And see, to me, that's fair.
Yeah.
I can separate the two out.
Yeah.
But I also can look at it logically and go, I know what the problems with that trilogy was. The stories were great. Now, if I had not seen The Force Awakens or The Rise of Skywalker, and I just saw The Last Jedi, I might have had a different opinion. There was no other outside influences there. I think it would change my commentary relative to the film. There's still a lot of The Last Jedi that I would still hate, even if I had saw it by itself.
Yeah.
And Luke Skywalker would be at the top of the list of why I could not stomach that film.
Yeah. Well, you know your least favorite movie. What about your favorite movie?
My favorite movie out of all of them?
Out of all of them.
Oh, man. I mean, it is tough. There was a lot of special moments in The Force Awakens and a lot of special moments and great fan service in The Rise of Skywalker, which is why I love that film. But if I was to go back and I was to look at all of them, honestly, I would have to go with Empire. I think Empire would be at the top of my list. It is such a classic. A lot of influence. It's one that I can sit down and watch over and over again, even after all this time. And that's amazing how powerful those films are. Yeah. But Empire. Empire would be right there at the top. Yeah. So many great standout moments in that. I love Luke's path. I love the confrontations. I love the fights. Solo is incredible in that. It's awesome. It's really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my second favorite. Revenge of the Sith, as people know, is my favorite.
Wow. Yeah. Good choice. And see, that just goes to tell you, and I don't know if I asked you, how old are you?
I'm 29. I just turned 29.
Wow. See, I'm the old man in the room. So 29 for Lucas, 44 for me. And it's amazing how time changes that. Why? Because in your youth, I mean, you were right smack dab in the middle of those films being released. So I'm assuming you got the theater experience for
yes.
Revenge of the Sith.
I remember watching Attack of the Clones, but I forgot my glasses at home. And so it was blurry the entire time. And all that I remember of that is watching Yoda and Dooku fight and just seeing a green blur and a red blur.
That fight was
That's
crazy.
all I remember.
That fight was so crazy. And I remember seeing that at the
It was the
Nova
first time we
4.
saw Yoda fight.
But honestly, like for me, like that's why I always, as a fan for like movies, no matter what it is, if I never got a chance to see a movie on the giant screen and it's brought back vintage style, whether it's up at Alamo Drafthouse or it's at any of the theaters here, or it comes up on the IMAX screen, it's precisely why I went to see E.T. and Jaws between August and September on the IMAX screen. I never got the theater experience. So come on, it's a yes. I am going to go see that.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I could die tomorrow and be happy if somebody brought Empire onto the giant screen. And honestly, for me, like the primo experience would be if somebody says, we're bringing Empire Strikes Back and we're putting it up on the IMAX screen.
Yeah.
I would be there, and I would probably go back and watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
Because it's an experience I never got, and I would love to have it before I shuffle off this mortal coil.
Yeah. Well, this is a good segue into the main topic of discussion because...
Boy, we tap dance around, didn't we?
I know, right? We're great. So recently, Rogue One actually came out on the big screen.
Yeah, re-release.
We actually went and saw it before we watched Andor and everything. So that was cool. I mean, of course, I watched Rogue One when it came out. I mean, I went to the IMAX when it came out. I went to The Force Awakens when it came out. So, like, I had already seen it in the big theater, but, but we went and saw that. So Rogue One, it came out after the seventh one, if I'm correct, The Force Awakens. I think Force Awakens
2016.
Force Awakens came out in 2015, came out in 2016. And it was that kind of movie that got us excited for Star Wars again, in a sense. Force Awakens came out and we were like, oh, that was good. But we were still kind of like, well, I wonder what the next one's going to be like, because we're always wondering about what the next one's going to be.
Yeah.
Even when we're watching it, we're like, what's the next one? That's our
fandom, even though we know what the conclusion's going to be.
Yeah. And so Rogue One, was it was different. It was, the first Star Wars movie that didn't have a crawl at the beginning, kind of mixing it up a little bit. So I guess tell us a little bit about your experience with Rogue One when it first came out. Like, what were your thoughts and watching it, or where did you watch it, or go to the opening night?
I would say that Gareth Edwards gave us a mastercraft with that film. I was floored and blown away by the technological advancements of the film, but also the grounded nature of trying to give us that visual style of A New Hope, the original films.
Yeah.
And that was the way the shots were conceived, the concept art, the interiors, the costumes, the way lines were delivered in that one as well.
Yeah.
And Moff. Oh my God. I mean, people want to go and they want to pick that apart as far as the digital wizardry, the AI, and the deep fake technology to make that happen. But what I will say is I wasn't looking for the mishaps in the CGI or the face not looking alive. The fact that they did that purely designed to bring this larger-than-life character back and place him in the center of this world and this story because he was so important. That's what I looked at.
Yeah,
I marveled at it because I'm like, God, he's alive. I mean, I'm transported back into the 70s and 80s here.
Yeah.
And they did a remarkable job. And that wasn't the only callback. I mean, what they did with Leia.
Yeah.
It was amazing to me at that time. And just think about how much it's gotten better since 2016. Felicity Jones and Diego Luna and the chemistry there was really, really good. You got a standout performance, K2SO, Alan Tudyk, and then you look at the lead cast in this particular film, and I'm talking about Ben Mendelsohn. Really, really amazing in that. Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
They gave us all I mean, there was not a single character in that film that you did not care about.
Yeah.
And that was the way Gareth Edwards directed the film.
Yeah.
But
well,
when
that was
you
the way
see
it had to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
and when you see the Death Star, and it looks exactly the way you remembered it when you saw the original trilogy of Star Wars. The DNA, the connectivity tissue, that's why I can say that it's a masterclass. It is a beautiful, beautiful film. And it serves as a perfect tie-in to what was going to come after.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing. I mean, it was really, for what was done, and I can kind of liken it to what we've gotten with The Mandalorian through 2 seasons and what we're going to get in season 3. It is, I don't know, it was just that love letter, man. It was really, really well crafted.
Yeah.
Nostalgia to the future.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people say, and a lot of people's opinion is that it's the best Star Wars movie that has come out recently. I mean, that it is, of course,
and I don't think you can argue with that.
like
I really
what
don't.
you want about, all the, the Disney trilogy, but like, Rogue One just had a different feel to it. It had a different, emotions and stuff like that. At first, I just want to kind of dive into the characters. So Jyn, Cassian, and all that.
Yeah.
Jyn being kind of the forefront, the driver of this film. What's your thought of that character in this movie?
You had to have a beacon. The tale had to begin somewhere. And so, obviously we learned that her life got expanded through Mads Mikkelsen's eyes, who's an iconic actor in his own right, from video games to film. But the way Felicity portrayed Jyn, vulnerable, but also a stalwart, and the fact that she finds her spine very, very quickly. She was always tough, hardened by the Empire. And Felicity just played her so well. She was so easy to like in the film. There really wasn't anything from her performance that I think I could really pick apart.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Because, man, I mean, she just foundational. It was to me, it reminded me so much of the steadfastness that Leia had. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you're like thinking, okay, mother-daughter, possibly. You just never really know. But I mean, I kind of got the same kind of performance from young Leia in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
I really got that same kind of feel, but I love the way she portrayed her.
Yeah.
Very, very strong. And you had to have that iconic character status. And you got that. You got that right away Even, I mean, there people would say, well, it was a little slow. Well, we had to start someplace too.
Yeah.
You have to bring this character out to life. So we're going to have to sit through, even if you don't like the pacing issues, whatever it is, you got to start at the beginning and you got to work your way up.
Yeah.
But they vaulted that character really, really fast. And she stuck the landing.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I loved it. It was kind of like vulnerable, little scared, but when she hearkens the lines and she says, "May the force be with you," you're just like, okay, I'm in. I mean, I'm on your team. I'm fighting right alongside you.
Yeah. Well, it's so fascinating that you said, oh, mother, daughter, because I remember when it came out. And of course, Force Awakens came out and then Rogue One, and everyone was all like, oh, is that Rey? Is that Rey's mother? Is that?
Yeah.
I don't think, do you know the timeline? It's all like, I don't think you quite know. Like,
not possible.
Yeah, not possible. But I just remember people saying, oh, how is this connected? And it just came back to what we were talking about before, how everything has to be connected. And it's like, yeah, it's connected, maybe not in the way that you thought, but it's just, it truly is amazing, that movie, because, and maybe that's why The Last Jedi had such a hard time as well, because it kind of just fit. I mean, maybe the release of the movies was kind of an awkward, interesting one, because you go from Force Awakens to Rogue One to Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like...
You're really jumping time periods, if you will.
Yeah, time periods and storylines and amazingness. Like, you go from the end, which we'll get to, but we'll go to the end of Rogue One to, The Last Jedi, which, so we're hyped. Yep. We're like, oh, this is so, and then nothing connects, and it's like, wait a second, what's going on?
You kind of mess with Star Wars fans' heads.
So it's Rogue One's fault. No, just kidding.
I guess you could say that, but you really can't. I mean, because they're night and day. They're night and day films.
They are.
Rogue One is without question the better film of the two.
Yeah,
and it's better for a myriad of reasons.
Yeah,
because that way you're not worried about having to balance nostalgia with this. Now, we got plenty of nostalgia in Rogue One, but the way the nostalgia was handled was spot on.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi get that right?
Yeah. What about Baze and Chirrut? What do you think of those duo?
Honestly, I would just say that those two, again, it's one of those characters that I can sit and watch, not knowing anything about them prior.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I see them, especially in the last few battles in the film. You're like, okay, I want to know where these guys came from. And it takes a rare film to be able to do that with a new character. So it's kind of like, all right, you've given me just enough. How did they come to be a part of the rebellion? What were their lives like? How essentially is their story larger? I loved them. I cared about them. And the way Gareth shot it, again, it's one of those situations like, I want more from these characters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a background character. It's how you write them. It's how you give them the standout moments in the film.
Yeah.
And there was plenty. Everybody got their due time and service. Baze was one of those. And it's like, all right, I think I'd like to see more.
Well,
you did it well.
Yeah, just the connection between Chirrut and Baze and their relationship and everything. It was just so... I don't want to use the word iconic because that might be too much, but it was so good. It was very good, their acting and their relationship and just their feel and everything. Chirrut, and of course you come to Chirrut and you're like, is he Jedi?
So great. He's so great. And is he a Jedi? Is he not?
Yeah.
But then you also think about force sensitivity.
Yes.
He didn't have to, even if he was a full Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay. I think if they had revealed him to be a full Jedi and he whipped out a lightsaber, I think it would have cheapened it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, if
he's force sensitive, however, I like that. We're not going full Jedi. We're not going full Sith, whatever way you were going to go. The fact that he believed in it and whether he was tapping into it or not to, enhance his fighting technique or whatever it was, that scene where he just repeats it over and over again, and he whoops, and pardon my language here, he whoops all kinds of First Order ass.
Yeah.
And Stormtrooper ass, I would just say. It is amazing to me that those scenes that he was in, Donnie Yen just commands it. You got to have him in more movies.
Yeah.
Honestly, between the two, I'm not really torn on this. I want a Chirrut Imwe film.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Who is he interacting with? How did he become so adept as a fighter?
Yeah.
Where's the force sensitivity coming into play? I'm like, just go ahead and inject it into my eyeballs. But it's also Donnie Yen. I love Donnie Yen, and he was so great as Chirrut in that movie.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
Well, there was even that moment in the movie where they were like, "Are you a Jedi?" And Baze was like, "He wishes," or something like that. Like,
Yeah, the banner was great.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, honestly, if you're going to call it, just call it Chirrut and Baze.
Yeah.
And just give us a series
you
on
can
that.
even do how they met. I mean, I know that didn't quite go over with the Solo movie, which this is not an episode over the Solo movie, but like, but they did that with that, even just like how they met and how they started, their bond formed and stuff like that. So that'd be awesome in my opinion.
Best buddy duo film or series that we could get from Disney
But at the
Plus.
same time, I mean, it's been 2016. Now it's 2023. Those actors haven't gotten any younger. Do you want to see them and see different actors play them? Do you want to see those guys play them? That's the thing about making new movies with Harrison Ford in them, stuff like that. The guy's not young anymore. I mean, he can do it, but like.
But also too, I mean, let's not forget where we're at with the technology and all of that stuff. What's scary to me, and we will see it in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, we know that we're going to get a de-aged Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And they had Harrison's full blessing to go back and do this, and even Harrison was marveling at the tech. He's like, I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
They had plenty of archived footage from me as Indiana Jones. They have my voice, and instantaneously, it takes us right back to Raiders.
Yeah.
And doesn't that just blow your mind?
Yeah.
So it's like we know that James Earl Jones is one of those rare cases. He has authored his voice to be used from now until forever as Darth Vader. Isn't that unreal to you that long after James Earl Jones passes, God rest the day, I don't even want to think about it, but when that happens, we will have Darth Vader in a multitude of capacities.
Yeah.
Video games.
With his voice.
Series.
Yeah.
And his legacy will live on forever.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. But they can do that with anyone and any voice as long as they have prior approval. That's crazy to me. Yeah. So the stories, I mean, where do you want to take it? Where do you want to go?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because if there's one like movie series, that Harrison Ford would want to be a part of forever, it'd be the Indiana Jones series.
Well, yeah.
He'd be like, I don't want to be in Star Wars. Just keep me in Indiana Jones forever. It's fine.
Well, and the crazy thing is, I mean, if he wanted to really go full tilt with it, he could basically say, all right, you'll have my likeness. You can recreate me for whatever it is you want, but my family is taken care of all the way down through the generations. So the estate... his life will always benefit from them using his virtual likeness or his voice or whatever it is.
Which is smart.
Which is why it's a tough balancing act because a lot of people don't believe in it. They think it's creepy. They think it should never be done. And we're fighting those battles with AI as it is right now. People are all up in the art war right now and people using their likenesses, whatever it is. But if it's done right and it's approved, it's authored, and it's respectful.
Yeah.
These actors and actresses would never technically be done working, and we could tell stories forever. Indiana Jones literally wouldn't die. So when Harrison says, when I die, nobody else is becoming Indiana Jones, what if Harrison Ford never dies as Indiana Jones?
Oof.
What if?
Yeah, what if?
It's crazy.
Gosh. Yeah. K2SO, very comedic relief, probably, one of the best moments. Very C-3PO-y, but not at the same time. Like,
and dare I say, I mean, and I love 3PO and I love R2, but when it comes to K2SO, there's a different level of heroism.
It is.
There's a different level of comedy. It's not campy.
Yeah, it's not.
There's heavy use for K2SO in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And as a fan, are we ever going to forget the sacrifice?
Oh, yeah. No.
No. Because it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it was so heroic at the exact same time. You're like, this is exactly how K2SO would go out.
Yeah.
But Alan Tudyk, I mean, come on. I mean,
oh, yeah.
On a comedic level, from a vocal delivery level, Gareth knew what he was getting with Alan Tudyk, and he got the very, very best. And that... It was awesome. That was a role and a portrayal that I will not soon forget at all.
Yeah,
really
definitely good performance for sure. We watched it recently. My girlfriend's watching through the Star Wars movies with me for the first time, and we had just
Congratulations, girlfriend! You are awesome for doing that. That right there is dedication.
Yeah. She had never watched Star Wars before. The only thing she had known was Vader was Luke's father. So she didn't even know that Luke and Leia were brother and sister. So that threw her for a spin.
How did she do when that moment got really?
Yeah, she did not.
It's like, but he kissed his sister. I just assumed kiss a Wookiee. Maybe we could arrange that. You could use a good kiss.
Yeah. K2SO just reminded me how good that performance was. This, of course, is not the first time you see Mon Mothma, because of course she's in the originals, but her
different actress. My God,
but
I'm like, did you clone her?
Is it a different actress? Who knows?
Nobody knew. When she first appeared, I would just simply say that Genevieve O'Reilly was just. I had to do multiple double takes.
Yeah.
Because the way they did the costume, the jewelry was placed perfectly.
Yeah.
The way her gown was layered and the way her hair was done. They even got it down to the way her hair was parted.
Yeah.
See, that right there, directing, costuming, the whole thing, they knew how important that appearance was. And you had to, can you imagine being in the room when they filmed that scene and her first appearance?
Like,
knowing, okay, we have got to get this right. They placed such a level of importance on Mon Mothma and how Genevieve delivered the lines. I'm like, my God, this is AI. This can't be real.
Yeah.
But that's Genevieve, full on.
Yeah.
Amazing how important they placed it.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I mean, it's just, and they kind of. Before we move on to Andor, because she's very monumental, Cassian, of course, is very monumental in the series. But let's kind of wrap up on the Rogue One part first. We have to talk about the end. The fact that everyone dies. I mean, and it's so funny because we're always like, man, they never show up again. Well, that's why. It's all like, they, did they know that they were going into a suicidal mission? Maybe they thought so, but I mean. The fact that everyone dies in the movie is almost the perfect ending, to what Star Wars is, the sacrifice. And, even in the originals, Mon Mothma says a lot of spies and rebels died to get us this information. It's like, wait a second.
Many Bothans died.
Yeah. It's like, no Bothans were there, lady. It's like you couldn't just put in one Bothan spy to say, hey. But no,
God, when she finally gets her revenge on Mendelsohn, that the camera pens in right on her eyes and her expression, the expression on her face when that moment finally hits, and Orson dies. And then when her and Cassian are on the beach and that long shot, there's just that moment of quiet.
It's the landscape again. The beautiful shot.
Yeah, and they're in the moment. They're caught up. They're at rest, and they know that safety and security is going to be provided.
Yeah,
they can't predict what the moment is, but for that moment, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and they're together, and you just see the waves coming in, and then it just eviscerates the light and everything, and it just goes. Yeah. But then the rebels trying to get the information away, and Vader. Oh my God!
They said Vader will take care of them. We'll take care of the planet. It's
but just that hallway and the extended shots, and Vader ripping through each one of the rebels and tearing off doors.
Yeah,
the claustrophobia, the pain,
the silence,
the fear.
Yeah.
And just, him emerging from that hallway in the dark and the lightsaber lights up and you know it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
But he just rips through everybody, and then the last jettison gets away.
Yeah.
But honestly, I was not expecting, when I saw it in the theater, I was not expecting who I saw.
Yeah.
And that shot. But I loved it. I loved it. She looks and she says, hope.
Yeah.
And then the crawl, and I'm like, "Oh my God!"
It's just like literally picks up right. Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah.
The way they tied it in, and there was so much lofty expectations for Gareth to hit that.
Yeah,
and he did. I wasn't looking at the technical limitations of the fact that it looked artificial or plastic or fake.
Yeah,
How could you, as a fan, nitpick that?
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It really, really was.
I don't want to expand on it too much, but because we'll have Andor to talk about. But do you think that hallway Vader scene changed the way Vader was perceived now? Like, do you think that particular scene has kind of evolved Vader into something new? Because I mean, even when we saw Vader in Kenobi, I don't want to get too deep into it, but do you think that scene changed the way we see Vader?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think that the creators now can be more liberal. They can be more liberal and they can be more generous with Vader.
Because that was the first time we really saw him just like go on a massacre.
Exactly. Exactly.
We've seen him fight, of course, in the originals and everything. And of course, Anakin did, what he did. But like this was the first time that we saw Vader literally just
I loved it.
Walk through and not hesitate and just cut away. And
I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to the very portrayal with Hayden Christensen in the Jedi Temple and going through all of the Jedis.
Yeah.
Or slaughtering clones, all that stuff. I mean, there's nothing stopping him.
Yeah.
He's a force. He is the dark side of the force.
Yeah.
And we never really got that manifested in the original 3.
Yeah.
We knew that he could choke somebody out at any given point.
I'm getting chills.
But whenever he choked Orson, he's like, don't choke on your ambitions. And you see him, it's just his hand.
Yeah.
It was foreshadowing.
Yeah.
When he opened up in that hallway and he tore through all those rebels like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Hot butter. A knife going through hot butter. I mean, it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
I think Gareth wanted to do that from the moment he shot the very first frame of that film. He's like, you mean to tell me I can do this? Okay. I'm going to give you Vader.
Yeah.
This is a young Vader. This is an untapped Vader, an unrestrained Vader who is just, essentially coming into his powers.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that's the way you got to look at it. And we never really knew what the grand scale of that was.
Yeah.
Then Kenobi comes out, and then we really see even more of just how angry and how full of hate he is. And when that hate's unrestrained.
He was even a younger Vader than we saw in Rogue One. I mean, he was like brand new, like Vader.
So, you can't tell me that at that point, the Vader that we saw in that hallway, if he really wanted to bring that that entire ship down or rip it in half, he could have done it.
Yeah.
He really could have.
Yeah.
But Gareth didn't have time to execute that level of vision.
Yeah. So, he's like, well, I kind of have to leave it off.
I have to let them get away. But, obviously, if he wanted to jump in that sandbox and rip that ship apart and basically force pull, a young Leia to him.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
Fantastic movie. Fantastic ending. I mean, it's just amazing. So, let's move on to the TV show Andor. I guess it's not new anymore. It's newer. It's kind of a prequel before Rogue One, obviously showing a little history of how Cassian got started, how the rebellion got started as well, as a whole. So I guess kind of just a basic question at the beginning, but what was your overall opinion of the show?
Now, this is going to be fun for you because you're going to ask me some Andor questions, and Andor is a series I have not finished.
Oh.
So this is good. This is really, really good. Where I left off in Andor, I've got a long ways to go, like multiple episodes. I am 2 episodes into Andor. So this is good. This is a really a fresh take on it.
Yeah.
Honestly, to me, it's going to lead into what Rogue One is going to be. And so far from what I have seen, it's got the espionage. It's got the slow burn. It's got the world development and the world building. And I love the fact that a lot of these characters coming in and out of Andor's life are mysterious. What I've liked so far about it, 2 episodes into the series, is the fact that it's got the intrigue. It's got that intrigue, that special magic that Rogue One developed.
Yeah.
Betrayals, relationships, building towards what we're going to see in that film. I love the way they're setting it up so far. And I can, from what I've been told and what I've read online, not spoiling myself.
Oh, man.
People were complaining about it being slow. And I can get that at first early on. But from what I understand, when it delivers, it delivers. And that's what made Andor so special, or what I'm going to see so special. They say, yeah, you may have been frustrated with it. You may have been frustrated with the pacing. But boy, when it gets there, and it's big.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I'm so stoked about that.
Well, and it's very, even the first couple episodes, I'm going to try my best not to spoil anything for you. But like,
don't you dare.
But like, it's very political. I mean, it is truly the start of the rebellion. And that's where the slowness comes in. I mean, it's almost like, I mean, I'm kind of going on a rabbit hole a little bit, and I know I don't probably have time for that, but like, it's just like Downton Abbey. You know, it's one of those shows where you think it's going to be boring because it's just rich people talking or politicians talking, but then there's that drama in it. It's exactly the same thing. You know, you have to be very careful when it comes to having to have something be exciting while people are sitting there talking about something.
Yeah,
you know,
I'd agree.
Talking about something. It's a very different feel than Vader tearing through a hallway full of, you know. And so did they fully master that? In my opinion, it was a little slow at some points, but at the same time, it was fine. It was fine.
Well, and it's hard too because this particular series at that time, it was not designed for spectacle. You weren't looking for a big finish 3 episodes in or 2 episodes in.
It was the
we
start.
We know where it's going to go. But see, again, that's what I call into check in Star Wars fans' adaptability. You're used to the formula. You're used to the spectacle. Can you truly adapt to appreciate the vision of the series?
Yeah.
As a true fan, you're going to have to sit through slow moments.
Yeah.
I mean, all the films that we came to love, they weren't fast all the way through, were they?
No.
And we got through those. So why can't you get through this series and understand it's got to hit some beats to get there, you know?
Well, I will say that, what will I say? I had 2 thoughts in my mind and it just left me. But you know, I think one of the things is that it's a series, you know, in a movie, the slow things have to be fast. Even the slow things have to be fast in a movie. Man, I had a really good thing to say and I totally lost it. But yeah, I mean, there was just something about Andor that, I mean, you knew it was kind of be an espionage thing because, you know, he was a spy. But at the same time, like, you weren't quite sure if they were going to the beginning or if they, you know, where they were going to start. And yeah, it truly, I mean, Mon Mothma plays a huge, it's funny because it should be called Mon Mothma, but like Mon Mothma plays a huge part in the Andor series. You may not notice it 2 episodes in, but as it progresses, man, there's so much that I want to say. But even Luthen, you know, who is played by, I can't remember the actor's name, but plays the Doctor on Thor and stuff like that.
You're thinking of Stellan Skarsgård.
Yes.
Who's great.
He's fantastic, and he just gets even better. I'm not going to spoil anything.
And I haven't seen anything yet. Obviously, clearly with Luthen.
Oh, really?
I mean,
he's not even. I think he shows up.
Yeah, he does, but I mean, I've got a ways to go before I really.
Well, you haven't even seen the one person. You haven't seen this person.
Oh yeah.
So
see that's why Lucas cannot spoil this for me because I've got a ways to go.
I can't spoil anything for you. So, but okay. So, I mean, you do know that Andy Serkis is in it.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yes, that I've seen that in imagery and promotional material.
I will tell you, no spoilers, but I will tell you that there is a connection between Rogue One and Andor, and it's not just Mon Mothma and Cassian, or even another character, but there is a character that's kind of like in the background in Rogue One that shows up in Andor, and actually is a more focal front character. So when you kind of get on, kind of see if you notice anyone that you've seen before in Andor, or from Rogue One. So. Well, I can't really say much about it because, you know, you haven't seen it. So, but maybe after you finish it, maybe we can come back and do like a
follow-up
part,
episode. Yeah.
Do a follow-up episode.
I like it.
But so kind of wrapping this up, we'll do the second part when you've seen all of Andor. We'll do a follow-up because there is something beautiful about the end of Andor and everything. So I want you to finish it before I spoil anything for you. But kind of to end the conversation, wrap this up, where does Rogue One fit on your list of movies? Because every Star Wars fan has a list of favorite to least favorite. So where does Rogue One fit in your list?
Jeez. I knew this inevitable question would be coming.
Well, and I was also nice enough not to ask you for your list, and I kind of want to. But
so where does Rogue One fit in my list? Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think it would be right after the original trilogy.
Okay.
So I mean, you would go probably. I would have to go with Empire, A New Hope, and then Return. And then I would go into
Interesting.
Rogue One, and then I would put in the prequel films. And then
Any particular order?
The prequel films?
Yeah. I'm just going to ask you for your list.
I would say probably Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and then Phantom Menace.
Okay.
And then as far as the last films we got, that's a lot easier. I don't even think. I mean, it would be probably. I mean, without question, it would be Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker, and then Last Jedi last, and then Solo would be in there towards the very end.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But Rogue One is right up there amidst the middle trilogy.
yeah, I agree. My list is very sporadic because it kind of mixes all of them together. And so Rogue One's definitely high up there. I mean, I would definitely say maybe 3 or 4.
Wow.
High up there because
High praise.
I mean,
Smart high praise.
Yeah. I mean, it's well done. I mean, even watching it recently, I have more thoughts on it. But Revenge of the Sith is my top favorite. Return of the Jedi. Really, if I'm just gonna say my list, it's gonna be Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Rogue One, Attack of the Clones. Oh gosh, and then a Phantom Menace, A New Hope, and then the others.
Wow.
Yeah,
No,
New
that's-
Hope is down there for me. I can't. I mean, like, I'd love A New Hope, absolutely love it. But on all out of all the other movies, it does kind of get a little shoved down there, which is sad because I do enjoy it. But
And it's one of the slower Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
But it's iconic.
yeah,
It's iconic. So
Yeah.
see, to me, pacing doesn't matter
yeah.
if it's done right.
Yeah. I mean, you can't beat watching A New Hope. I mean, you can just watch it and enjoy it, and you're like, that was a good movie. Moving on.
Yeah, no, 100% correct. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't take that away from you.
But
which is why,
sadly for me, it just gets kind of pushed down by all these other movies that are just like, oh man.
but also too, if pacing is done poorly, then I firmly believe you get something akin of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Boba Fett, I'm
Do you mean Mandalorian season 3 or season 2.5?
honestly, yeah, pretty much. But Boba Fett was hard for me to watch.
Oh, really?
And it had nothing to do with the lead performance or anything like that. It had everything to do with, okay, am I getting a Tusken Raider prequel series, or am I getting a story about Boba Fett?
Yeah.
And that's why that series was so hard for me to watch. I'm like, you've taken this character. I mean, I get that he spent a lot of time there, but you spent way too much time there in the series.
Yeah. 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 I mean, there's just something about the TV shows. Like, I think there's a beauty to the TV shows. Even, I mean, with Marvel, even. I mean, we're wrapping it up, but like, there's just something about the TV shows where you can't. I don't know. There's just something about it. It's different. There is a difference to it. And if you were to watch a Boba Fett movie, it might be completely different. You might be like, oh my gosh, that was a million times better than the series. Hands down. I love Boba Fett. Bam.
It's got to get from beat to beat and doesn't have the luxury of having multiple episodes to get it done. You've got a 2-hour runtime to get it done. And I think with it being more tight and more cohesive, it could be something really, really special.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I think if you go and you do a film and you call it Mandalore,
They might be getting to that.
and you go to that and you make a film out of that. Oh my gosh, can you imagine how epic that would be?
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd give that film to Jon Favreau.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Give him
100%.
that film 100%.
all he would have to do is all he would have to do is what he did with Iron Man and Marvel, and
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
and we're dreaming right now talking about it.
Yeah.
But if there was ever a film to be likely in the Star Wars panel coming up in the future, I think that one would be a safe bet as amongst the fan community.
Yeah.
To see on a giant screen.
Yeah.
And I would oh man, I would kill to see that in IMAX. 12 channels of sound, 6-story tall screen, Mandalore. Just put it in my eyes. I'm ready for it.
Well, I think
my body's ready.
I think it might be coming. I mean, who knows what's going to truly happen with season 3 of Mandalorian, but I truly believe that we are going to Mandalore and we are going to this place of the Mandalorians and everything. I mean, we have to be moving to that direction. I mean, I don't know. Season 2 was kind of like, wait, you gave him to Luke and then you took him back. So I was like, okay, well, what's going on here? You know, Grogu. But so who knows what they're doing? But I truly believe that that's kind of where we're gonna go.
Oh yeah. Well, and you think about it, there's the possibility of Rogue Squadron getting back on track at some point. I hope that happens. I would love to see that. Yeah. I think that's really, really cool. You've got the Ahsoka series that is out there too. There's still a ton of stuff on the way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I want more Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka in my life.
The Ahsoka series is going to be, I don't want to overhype it, but it's going to be, if they do what we think they're going to do with it, it's going to be one of the best series that comes from Star Wars TV shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and not just if they do it right, but just if they have what we think is going to happen.
Oh man. Well, and
I mean, with the end of Rebels, I mean,
I hope that we're not done with Kenobi.
Yeah.
I want a second season of Kenobi because again, that was a mixed bag for fans, right? Yeah. I couldn't find a thing in Kenobi to pick apart.
Yeah.
I thought it was excellent.
Yeah. Well, definitely go and listen to my episode over it, or you can even watch it on YouTube. That's the one that we recorded video.
Right on.
So yeah, go check that out and hear all the thoughts on that.
I plan to. I know right where I can get my sure IDC goodness.
Yeah. Well, Josh, to wrap it up, any last thoughts on anything Star Wars or anything that's just been bubbling inside your mind?
You know, I would just tell you, I just hope the conversation, I mean, it's cool to just be wrapped up in fandom. But one thing I would just go back to is that, everybody can have their opinions in fandom. That's what makes it great. That's what makes conversations so much fun when you're in your circle and you're talking about the stuff that you like.
Yeah.
But just remember the toxic side of fandom. Remember how that can have an impact on the characters that we've come to appreciate.
Yeah.
The content of stuff that we get and the frequency.
Yeah.
Because we're living in a time now where directors, actors, and actresses have a higher likelihood of seeing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But let's not have the bad impact that keeps us from getting the stuff that we want to see.
Yeah.
Well,
it's so funny because I don't mess around with that. I don't.
I can't.
I just don't. I don't care. I don't. Whether I see, it's so funny because, that's what I was going to say earlier about Andor was that people were saying, there was this huge fight about Andor about, well, it's because this is for the grown adults. It's like, this is for the adult Star Wars people. And it's like, just because people don't like it doesn't mean that it's, they're insulting their intelligence, their age, whatever. I mean, like, it's just, why can't you just watch? But that's the thing. You can't do anything nowadays without having an opinion of it.
Well, yeah.
And having to share that opinion. I mean, I'm on a podcast right now, so I fall into that. But
I will tell you this. I mean, that's an unfair thing to levy. You know what I'm saying? Because just as you and I were kids back when, and we saw our first part of the Star Wars universe that has stayed with us forever.
Yeah.
There are kids out there that are seeing, whether it's The Mandalorian or they're seeing Andor.
Yeah.
Any one of these projects that is coming out or will come out or is yet to arrive is going to be some Star Wars fans first.
Yeah.
So let's not call it adults only.
Yeah.
Because it is some child's first step into that universe.
Yeah.
And a new Star Wars fan is born with every project that is created.
Yeah.
It's not for one single person.
Yeah.
It was never like that when we were younger, and it's not like that today.
Yeah.
Because with every project, there's a new Star Wars fan born. That's what makes it so cool.
Yeah.
Because for them, it's going to be somebody talking down the road long after you and I are gone. They're going to be talking about The Mandalorian is what brought me into the Star Wars universe. I started there, and I watched everything else, and I become a fanatic. I love it.
Yeah.
You got to love that. You got to respect that. Everybody's journey is different.
I just hope that at the end of the day, like you said, that, it will affect what we get, who we get, how much we get, the quality of what we get. I would hope that in this day and age that if they don't care. I mean, I am
You're not wrong.
I hope that the creators of Star Wars, I truly hope that they don't care. They just don't. I mean, they don't care about the reaction. They want it to be a good reaction, of course, but just like you said, you cannot let toxicity affect what you want to do with it. No. And you can't be scared of that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I hope that they are like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do it the best that we possibly can. We're going to write a good story. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to make, what we want it to be.
Oh, well,
and that's what you got to do.
I want and I hope that there are continuing to be fearless world builders.
Yeah.
Young, hungry directors that are coming up in the business that want to rock the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
They have an understanding of fan service, balance, but also looking to the future. I can't wait for that first director to come out of the woodwork in the Star Wars universe that says, I'm going full Sith. I'm giving you a Sith story.
Yeah.
We have yet to see
That'd
on screen where it's just full on Sith.
Yeah.
No light. It is dark.
Just dark.
Dark the whole way through. Give us that. Let's go back to Republic. Let's go back to the Knights of the Old Republic. Let's go way back in time and give us some new stories.
Yeah.
Young Qui-Gon Jinn. I mean, there's so many possibilities.
With the Tales of the Jedi.
Let's go wild with it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is, there's just something about it that's just amazing. In all aspects of it. And whether we get good new content or bad new content or just new content, it doesn't matter. We're getting new content, and that is,
the debate will be eternal.
The debate will be eternal, yeah. So, but we will have the follow-up for Andor, of course, when you finished it, because there's a lot in there that at the end. But if you have seen Rogue One, you know how such a good movie it is. And Andor was pretty good, given a little bit more depth to the character and casting Andor and just kind of the storyline. So if you are a Star Wars fan and haven't seen either of those shows, first off, what are you doing listening to this?
Shame on you.
But have you, thank you for, it's just go watch them. If you have not seen them, go watch them. Maybe like Josh said, you'll start to be a Star Wars. It might be your first Star Wars movie. You never know.
I hope. And once you do, you'll be in a galaxy far, far away for a very long time. Heaven forbid, you're going to be in it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. For sure. But thanks for being on the show, Josh. I really appreciate you taking the time.
This was fun. I really, really enjoyed it. It's amazing to me that when you talk about something you're passionate about, something you love, the time just flies by.
I know, right?
Very cool.
It's so funny because at first off, I was like, well, probably like 30 minutes. And all of a sudden it's like, an hour and 30 minutes. Okay, let's move it along here.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, sir.
And thank you for listening, you listeners out there. Shows come out every 2 weeks on Thursday. Follow me on Facebook if you haven't yet. Also, check me out on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to me there for a video format. There's only about 3 episodes on there and only one's a video, but trust me, when my life stops being crazy, it will flourish. I swear. The more will be on there. So you can also find me on the Branson Podcast Network as well. Josh mentioned that at the beginning. So yeah, thanks for listening. Stay safe out there. And remember, you don't care.